The new big screen version of the Joker is jumping from the DC movie universe to Marvel. Suicide Squad actor Jared Leto is set to play Marvel anti-hero Morbius the Living Vampire in a new film. Morbius first appeared in comic books back in 1971 and is a frequent adversary of Spider-Man, which means the big screen rights to the character are held by Sony Pictures. Like Sony's upcoming Venom movie, the Morbius film will exist outside of the shared Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it seems doubtful that Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man will be able to appear. Hopefully this doesn't confuse general audiences. No word yet on when the Morbius movie will arrive. Jared Leto is also set to reprise his role as the Joker in upcoming DC movies, although none of them have release dates yet. This is getting confusing, but if they're going to be making a superhero comic book movie every week, which it looks like Hollywood is really gunning to do, these actors, there aren't enough actors to go around, so of course they're going to be appearing in multiple roles across, the universes that are existing out there. This is kind of hilarious. Maybe they're going to do something to make Jared Leto look a lot less like the Joker, or vice versa, so that there's no sort of confusion there, and it's not the same actor. But listen, Josh Brolin is having one of those kinds of years where he's Thanos, and he's also Cable, and he's in the new Sicario movie, which I'm going to review very soon. Like the actors that these big studios can depend on to carry these big roles, especially if Morbius is going to be his own, lead in his own film, they need some big, AAA type actors out there, and Jared Leto certainly qualifies. He's a great actor. It is going to be confusing, especially because there's going to be multiple Jokers as well. But that's Hollywood's mess to clean up. All right, and some of Marvel's best heroes and villains are joining forces in virtual reality. The new game, Marvel Powers United VR, first announced last year, will finally launch on July 26th. The game is made in partnership between Marvel and Oculus and will thrust players into the role of their favorite Marvel characters in 3 versus 3 battles, allowing you to wield their unique powers from a first-person perspective. It's expected to launch with just over a dozen characters, with the possibility of more being added after launch. I am excited for this game. This is the type of thing that is going to make me want to strap on the VR headsets again in a big way. I think we need some familiarity with the properties and the universes and the experiences that we're going to get in VR. So it tackles some of the marketing dilemmas that VR games seem to have right now. They've got to introduce these worlds and these new mechanics and sell these headsets. There's all of these things that are stacked up on top of each other, which makes it difficult to get people super excited to go, first of all, spend the money and then jump into these experiences and put on the headset and say goodbye to their families and all that stuff and disappear into these wonderful, potentially wonderful worlds. If this game is done right, this is going to be a huge leap forward. And still, I'm waiting for that Star Wars VR news. That could happen anytime now, Disney. Come on. Now, back in the DC universe, their new subscription streaming platform is sounding pretty heroic. DC and Warner Brothers have revealed new details about their streaming platform, DC Universe. Along with all the new exclusive TV shows like the live-action Teen Titans series and new episodes of the animated Young Justice, the service will also feature classic DC movies and episodes of older TV shows. On top of that, we now know that DC Universe will also give subscribers access to digital comic books with the goal of making it a one-stop shop for all of your DC content. It's slated to go online later this year. Pricing details have yet to be named. Now, I have tweeted directly at Jim Lee, who is going to proceed to completely ignore my tweet, but I tweeted and said, is this going to launch in Canada on day and date, with the U.S.? Because, of course, it's starting in the U.S. I've checked it out on their website, and it says this is only available in the U.S., and we'll let you know when it's available in your territory. That doesn't mean that they're going to have to hold up licensing for too long. Presumably, they could work something out for Canada soon, but I am super excited about this. This is exactly the kind of thing that you do where you just put all of your media into one nice package like this. It's going to be incredible, provided the price isn't too much and there's some really good streaming content, but the idea that you can also read all of those books in there too, fantastic. It's going to make comic fans out of people. They're going to be exposed to these cool TV shows and movies, and then they're going to be able to go right into the books. Brilliant, and I think that Marvel's going to have to follow suit with their Marvel universe as well, which I'm already a subscriber to. I can read the thousands of Marvel comics on that thing. Now I'd just like to see some of these Marvel TV shows and movies on there as well. Good stuff. Warner Brothers and DC Comics cannot wait for DC Universe. The surprise rivalry between Star Wars and Jumanji is going to continue in 2019. The sequel to last year's Jumanji reboot is officially set to hit theaters on December 13th, 2019, meaning it will be going up against Star Wars Episode 9. This may seem like suicide on Jumanji's part, but the last film defied expectations and held its own against The Last Jedi, and even beat it out in several international territories like China. This means that Sony thinks the next Jumanji film can be a worthy adversary and compete with a juggernaut like Star Wars for valuable holiday box office revenue. They might also smell blood in the water now after the box office failure of Solo. This is, definitely surprising to me because I wasn't a huge fan of the recent Jumanji movie. Definitely some things in the flick that I liked. I loved the cast members. They're all hilarious, and they had great chemistry together, but it could have been a better movie, a more epic experience. I felt like it was a little bit too contained, but it made a ton of money, so maybe the sequel will expand and give us some, cool new ideas, and we'll get to know more about the lore of Jumanji. I can't believe it's a movie franchise with lore, but that's exactly what's happening with Jumanji. There will be no end to these movies. We're going to be getting a whole bunch more, and I think that Sony's probably right to kind of smell blood in the water right now with Star Wars. It's going to be an interesting time to counter-program against Star Wars, and let's see what Star Wars has to counter Jumanji, the threat of Jumanji. We'll find out soon. Now, if you think the Star Wars movies are in trouble, the games are seeing a major shakeup of their own. Uncharted director Amy Hennig has officially left publisher Electronic Arts. This has been a long time coming. Hennig had been in charge of a new Star Wars game in the works at EA subsidiary Visceral Games, but EA pulled the game from the studio in order to retool it at a different developer, closing Visceral in the process. It was unclear if Hennig would be staying at EA, but now speaking with Eurogamer, Hennig herself reveals that she actually left EA back in January of this year, shortly after the closure of Visceral Games. She says that she's no longer involved in the creation of the new Star Wars game, although she wishes her former colleagues at EA the best of luck with the project. The good news is that she's in the process of setting up her own independent studio, so we can't wait to see what she does next. Bravo, Amy. Very excited to sit down and talk to you about what you're working on and what you're cooking up for everybody. I was very disappointed to hear the news of Visceral closing down, but also of Amy's vision for a Star Wars game kind of getting ripped out of her hands. I know it's not as simple as that, but from the outside it just looked like Amy got the short end of the stick, and I'm a huge Amy Hennig fan. She's provided tremendously fantastic entertainment for us to play through for many, many years, and I can't wait to see what she's up to. And EA, I really hope that you are learning all of the valuable lessons from Star Wars Battlefront 2, and you are concocting something that will be truly wonderful, that fans will love and rally around and support for many years with the new Star Wars experiences that you're working on. Not just the one that started with Amy, but also the Respawn Star Wars title and anything that you might be having, anything that might be cooking up at Motive as well. We all want awesome Star Wars games, and I'm going to give you one more hint. Star Wars in VR. Okay, that's going to do it for the rundown. Let's get going with this day and everything cool.